Should you quit your job or should you not quit your job? That is the question. I remember when I lived in this big condo complex, we had a pool in the center of all of the buildings, and I was there at the pool getting a little bit of a suntan, and I'm next to one of my neighbors, and we're having a conversation, and she was saying that, I just got 4 more years until I can retire. I've hated this job. I can't wait to get out of there. It's been absolutely terrible, but I can retire now, but I got 4 more years because I want to get to 40 years. And so the 40-year was like this arbitrary number. It wasn't anything she needed to get there for financial reasons or any other. It's just something she had in her mind. It's like, well, why don't you quit now? She's like, no, I need to stick it out till 40 because that's what I said I would do. At 40 years, I'd quit the job. And so she stuck it out for the next 4 years until she finally left. But that got me thinking, it's like, you've been there and you've been miserable for 40 years. It's like, why would you do that to yourself? Life is way too short to be like that, because if you're in a job that you don't like and it's something that's making you miserable, then you're becoming more of a miserable person, and it's going to make it more difficult for you to have good relationships with your spouse, good relationships with your kids, good relationships with your friends. Because if you're in a miserable job, what's the first thing you talk about when you get home? How miserable your job is. What's the first thing you talk about when you go to see your friends? How miserable your job is. And so if you're at a job like that, then yes, you should absolutely quit. Now, some people are saying, hey, that's irresponsible for you to tell people to quit. It's like, no, you should absolutely quit your freaking job that you're miserable at, because it's not worth it. It's not worth the money. It's not worth the aggravation. It's not worth sharing your life. It's not worth the health issues that will come up from you working day after day after day after day at a job you don't like. Now, I understand there may be some financial restrictions you need to transition to a new job, and be smart about that. But if you're not happy where you're working, then start making the plan and taking the steps to be able to find a job you do like, that you do love, that you will get fulfillment out of it, or start a side business and then make enough money so that when you leave your job, then you're financially capable to do that, or have enough money saved up that you can smartly live off your savings, not credit, not a 401k, not retirement, not investment money, that you have enough money on the side to be able to live comfortably until your new side business or your new business is making you money. Be smart about it. But if you're miserable, then get the hell out of that job and go figure out something else that you'd like to do more, whether it's a different job or a different company in the same industry, or different people, a different town, different something else, or you're going to start your own business. Go do something else. Because when you work day after day after day at a miserable job, one, it just takes all the joy out of life. What do you get? 2 weeks of vacation a year, and that's the only time you're going to enjoy yourself? And you're not even going to be able to enjoy yourself truly for that, because you're going to be thinking about how much your job sucks that you have to go back to in 2 weeks. So that's not going to make it that much better. And then you're going to physically, when your body is under that kind of stress, of unhappiness, of frustration, of anger, and working with people you don't want to work with, or a boss that you don't like to work for, somebody who's maybe too tough on you, too hard, or the hours, or whatever it is that is making you not like your job, that is physically taking a toll on your health. And it may not be doing anything just yet outwardly, but at some point that's going to create heart issues, or diabetes, or stress, or anxiety, or depression, or all kinds of other things that can happen. Virtually every disease that we have is caused by lifestyle. Almost every disease that we go through is caused by lifestyle, or lifestyle could be prolonging the time it takes before you need to go on medicine. So if you have a happy life, you're working at a job you like, you have a great relationship at home, and you're exercising and eating very well, you're very unlikely to get sick. Or if you do have a predisposed issue with your body that you've been born with genetically, then it's going to push it off years and years and years before that starts to manifest in your body, and you have to deal with it. But if you're at a job you don't like, those stresses, the medical conditions are all going to come super fast compared to the way they would come if you were in a better job. And then if you're in a bad job and you're coming home and you're complaining to your spouse, what's going to happen to your relationship with your spouse? It's going to put stress, undue stress, unnecessary stress, and anxiety and anger and frustration. And so if you come home every day and the first person you see is your spouse, and you start ranting and raving about how much of your boss is an idiot, what physical, emotional connection are you making with your spouse? You may be talking about your boss being an idiot and all the stress and the problems and the anger that you have going on, but when you tell your spouse that every single day, you are transferring some of that anger and stress of your boss to your spouse, and you're eventually going to start to resent your spouse that has nothing to do with that person. It's an extension of the stress that's coming through your body, coming through your life, and it's being transferred to your personal relationship. Where if you were in a great job and you came home and you're telling your spouse about all of the great things that went on in that day, and you ask them how great their day was, then you have a great, healthy, happy relationship because you have a happy, healthy relationship in work. Well, that's going to make your life so much better. This also transfers into your kids. If you're miserable at your job, it's hard for most people. I mean, like 99.9% of people can't leave their stresses at work and come home and be a great parent, be a great spouse, because it flows through, their day flows through into their personal relationships. It flows through into your exercise. It flows through into your personal relationship with yourself, because now you're just like, why do I have to stay at this job? This job sucks. Why don't I leave? Why do I have to deal with these people? Why? All of these things that you could change. So the question is, should you quit your job? And the answer is, if you're unhappy and you're miserable, then yes, you should. And you should do it in a financially smart way to transition to another job, but you should absolutely quit your job. You should also quit your job if you don't see yourself doing that for the next 20 years or something like that. Or you should also quit your job if you know that you'll regret it when you get to retirement. You're in your 70s and you're looking back at your life and you stayed at a job for 40 plus years and you're looking back, it's like, man, I wish I never did that. If you think you're going to feel like that, well then yes, you should probably quit your job. You shouldn't quit your job if you enjoy it, if you love it, if you like it, if it gives you meaning, if it gives you purpose. If you're looking for a new job, you should be looking for a job that you'll get enjoyment out of it. It'll give you meaning. It'll give you purpose. Hopefully it'll pay you a very good salary, make a lot of money for you. And someplace you can contribute, that you could be making a difference. Someplace that you're excited to tell other people. When people ask you, what do you do for a living? Oh, I do this. And you're excited about telling other people. Where before, if you're at a job you should be quitting and people ask you what you're doing and you're dreading, it's like, oh, I work at this place and I hate my job. Absolute sign, quit your job. Now, this isn't a popular thing to say, is that somebody giving you advice to quit your job. But if you're watching this, you're probably thinking about it. You probably aren't happy. You might even hate your job, or you want to do something else, or you have visions or dreams or goals of doing something bigger. Well, these are all signs that you should be quitting your job or looking to quit your job, making that transition. Not do it irresponsible, but to do it with responsibility. So if you daydream about doing something else, you daydream about opening up a food truck, or you daydream about writing a book, if you daydream about working at a nonprofit organization that saves the whales or helps homeless people or something else, or you dream about getting a remote job so that you can travel the world or live in Italy or Asia or South America or travel in a van around the country, in an RV. If you dream about all these things and your job that you're at now can't get you there, then yes, you should quit your job. If you dream about a life that has making more money than you're making now because you're not making enough to live the kind of life you want to live, then yes, you should quit your job to go find something that will pay you better, that will offer you more opportunities, whether it's in flexibility of hours, flexibility of location, or making more money. If you're thinking about these things, wishing your life was different, then you should be looking for another job. You should absolutely quit your job. If you just want to experience something new, you're just like, I've been doing this for 20 years. I just want to change. This might be another reason to quit your job as well. But it might not be enough of a reason to quit your job. And that's why you have to ask, well, is this just something I'm bored with at the moment? Do I like this enough, or do I get enough meaning and purpose out of this life? Am I contributing enough? Am I just bored now? Or is this a transitional season that I'm in? Like in 5 years, I'm going to be miserable here. Well, then in that case, you probably should. But if not, then you should fix it where you're working at that. Whatever's you're not feeling happy about, well, then address that with your coworkers and your boss and whoever it is that you need to make the adjustments. Then maybe your whole team gets better. That's not when you quit your job. If it's something that can be improved, that can be fixed, can be changed. Probably not a reason to quit. But if you're going to be, if you're exhausted and you're not enjoying life and you can't imagine yourself doing this for the next 20 years and you don't want to regret being at this job and not following your dreams, then that's probably a good reason to quit. My friend Lisa, she was a corporate accountant, really high level. She was in finance before that, moved into corporate accounting, made a ton of money, but she wasn't happy. She just wasn't happy. And then when her husband passed away from cancer, one of the messages she got through that, and one of the last things he said to her was, honey, go do what you love. She says, you're not happy at the job you're at. Go do what you love. Go find a life that you enjoy and go do that. And that's what she did. And she became a spiritual expert and help people in their spiritual journey and life, yoga, meditation, and all of that kind of stuff. And she's absolutely brilliant at it. And now she's living in her authenticity, where she wants to live. Is she making less money than she was at that super high powered corporate job? Yeah, she's making less money, but she's happy. And she's not the only person. I've had multiple stories about attorneys that they're just like, I went to school to become an attorney because my parents were attorneys or because I thought I'd make a lot of money, and I did. But then after doing it for 15 years or 20 years, they're like, screw this, I am done. And then they go do something completely different. One person went out and started an organic farm. Another person started traveling, went out on a sailboat and traveled the world on the sailboat with the money they had saved. Another person went into nonprofit doing building houses or churches or something, schools in South America. So a complete change, doing something, following what their internal authenticity was calling them to do, the whispers of their dreams, the whispers of their goals. That's what you have to listen to. If you're happy in your job, I'm thrilled for you, because not many people are. If you're not happy in your business that you're running, like me, if you're self-employed and you're running your own business, then change the things you're not happy about. I'm doing that right now. There's some things, I've been doing this for a while and it's not really making me happy the way I thought it would. It's time for me to shift a couple things up. And so I'm working on that now so that I never get to the point it's like, oh, I hate this. I don't ever want to get to that point. And so you shift it. And so you're running your own business and you change the things. Maybe you hire some of it out. Maybe you find an assistant. Maybe you hire a CEO to run your company and then you just stay as the president. Or maybe you do something completely different and you change it. The pandemic changed a lot of things for many of us. It was the first time most people had really come to face with the idea of mortality, the idea that they could pass away, that they could die from something suddenly, way earlier than they expected, because most people think they're going to live to be 70, 80, 90 years old. Now, all of a sudden, we're facing this global issue that we thought in the beginning that, this could kill any one of us. We learned a little bit different later on, but at that moment, most of us were like, holy cow, this is scary. I could die, my spouse could die, somebody else I love could die. And then so we started looking at the world a little differently. And that was a really beautiful gift out of that whole lockdown and everything that we went through, is that for the first time as a global society, we started looking at our lives. Are we really happy? Is this what we want to do? Is this what I want to be doing for the rest of my life? And a lot of people made some major changes. So the answer is, should you quit your job? Should you not quit your job? Obviously, it depends on the person, the circumstances, money, relationships, all those other things. It depends on a lot of things. Make sure that you and your family and whoever else is involved is in that conversation. But if you're unhappy, then yeah, short answer, quit your job and go find something that has meaning, purpose, makes you feel fulfilled, makes you feel like you're contributing, makes you a lot of money, hopefully a ton of money, and go do the thing that will make you happy, because it'll make you a better person, make you a better spouse, a better parent, a better part of the community, better part of the church, better part of whatever you're a part of.